Well, today we're joined by Bob Jensen of the Husker Prep Report as the high school playoffs are upon us as it gets underway in classes D1 and D2. Bob, do you kind of feel this time of year I always do? It's like, where'd the regular season go?
Yeah, where did my wasted youth go? That's a larger question, but yeah, 8 weeks I'm not concerned about. 60 years has kind of got my attention, but yeah, no, it does. It goes by in a hurry, and then you get to the playoffs, and things kind of grind down a little bit because every day is every day is an important day, and one of the things I always think about right now before anybody has played a playoff game is how much you hope everybody takes time to treasure every one of these days because, for half of them, obviously it's going to be over on Thursday in this instance, and the following week it will be on a Friday. And, not everybody gets to be in the playoffs. Sometimes it feels like it, but not everybody does. And, it's something those kids will remember, come Thursday. That'll be something they'll remember the rest of their lives.
When you look at the West portion of this D1 bracket, were there many surprises? How do you see this lining up with some of the heavyweights on this side of the bracket?
Well, there is definitely a leader in the clubhouse, and number one seed North Platte St. Pat's. We've got them number one overall. I think a lot of people do. They just truly have not been tested, and they're really good, and they haven't played the kind of schedule that maybe would have a chance to show that for all four quarters. All right, they played two teams that were 7-1 and beat them 99-16, and that's going to translate. I really do like this the way we're doing the playoffs now. Go ahead and go East and West, and then go 1 through 16, and you go where the seed says you go. Well, wherever North Platte St. Pat's goes, in my book, they'll be the favorite to win. I certainly think they're the favorite to win the state championship. When you get past there, though, there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, because Riverside's the number 2 seed, and they've got a great football past, and took on the kids from Spalding Academy, got some real players in that deal. That really strengthened the program. But after, there's a lot of teams in that mix that could make things happen. And as far as surprises go, Jason, it's a real happy surprise. Sand Hills Valley I've seen them play a couple times the last couple of years, and they've got some athletes and everything. It just didn't quite translate. So naturally, when they move up a class, they go 7-1. And the only team they've lost to is St. Pat's. And I don't know how far that pony can go. That first game they've got against Sandy Creek could get a little interesting. I think there'll be a billion points scored in that game. But there's one example of a team that's kind of, exceeded expectations, at least to some degree.
One team around here that's kind of slipped under the radar, and their only loss was to St. Pat's, was Highline. The Bulls have had themselves a pretty good fall.
They have, and you're right. I mean, St. Pat's, St. Pat's has done that to everybody they played. So you take that out of the mix. The one thing that Highline's got that will translate, should we ever have bad weather, that running game of theirs is the real deal. And they can move the ball through the air a little bit too, but they've got a lot of speed, and they've got a good running game. And Highline's in the mix. They're the 5 seed on that half, which really doesn't matter a ton right now because all you're doing with that seed is just finding a team to play. It'll matter a whole lot more next week where you wind up in that bracket. But I don't know, they are. That's a really good team, and I think just the fact, Jason, that they decided to adopt the Highline name for that Eustis Farnham combination. You gotta give them extra style points. I mean, the Highline, you start talking about the old Highline conference back in the day, and maybe that's where the 60 years went.
Maybe it did. I don't know. That was a good choice. How about D2? What's your take on this side of things, especially some teams out this way?
Well, there's just so many good teams in D2, and that's something that's been a constant since the start of the season. it's one of those deals where not only, there were good teams in D2 coming back, in last year's D2 coming back. Well, this year's D2, you got some of the very best teams, and certainly the traditional powerhouses who dropped a class. And the nexus of all that has left us with a top 10 that just basically takes your breath away. You can be really, really good and not get very far in this playoff. Now, I think that kind of sets up maybe for a chance to have a surprise or two because of that. There's just so much depth to it. But as far as out that general direction, the two teams that come to mind are Sandhills, Thedford, and Hitchcock County. Realizing that's stretching it a little bit, but I want to talk about those two. Sandhills, Thedford, last year's state finalist, has overcome, a coaching change and some other things. Took a little bit to get sorted out, but now they are red hot, and they are playing like the team that I thought they'd be. Just tough to lose 4 All-Staters and get better, but that's a really good football team that's kind of found its stride. Hitchcock kind of turned things upside down by running Dundee County out of the building when they played a couple weeks ago. That has certainly been one of those things that just added some extra drama to what's going on in D2.
Quite a reversal for Elm Creek. Winless a year ago, 7-1 this season. What's your take on the Buffaloes?
They got healthy. If there's anybody in this conversation who knows what I'm talking about, it's the fact it's you, because Elm Creek's, got 3 really, really good football players who came back from injury. And, Carter Erickson's an all-state caliber football player. The Knapp kid at quarterback is perfect for what they need. Neither one of those kids, well, I think the Knapp kid got hurt in the first game. And things just nothing went right last year. And so Elm Creek is a great story. And, they've got that great win against Central Valley. You talk about things you'll remember the rest of your life. Those kids on the field, getting a second chance at the last play of the game and winning against a team that had not yet been beaten, Central Valley. So not only is that a great turnaround, it's also got a little exclamation point to it.
And that was Bob Jensen of the Huskerland Prep Report. Once again, we will bring you 2 games on Thursday. On 92.7 FM, Cami Country, it's Elm Creek at home against Mullen with kickoff at 5. Tyler Cabali and Scott Foster will have the call of that one. And D1 action tomorrow night from Elwood as Highline will battle Arapahoe. Kickoff of that one is set for 7 on 880 KRVN. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen.